Hello, everybody. Welcome to MJ Comics. Tonight, I'm joined by a good friend of mine. I'm joined by Luke from Hydra Collectables. Welcome, Luke.
Thank you very much. I think, is this my first time on your channel officially, or have I been on here before?
I think you, I think you've been on here before. I think for something,
I know
but
I've
I
done a
don't know.
lot of videos with on Jason Parker's channel, and we've obviously been together there. I wasn't sure if it was specifically on this channel.
Um, I don't know. To be fair, this could be your first appearance. To be
It
fair,
could be.
it could be. But to be fair, it has been a long time coming. We've always talked in the background and stuff, and I've wanted to always do stuff with you because I've always felt like when you speak, when you talk about stuff, you talk about it with such passion, and you have a very good knowledge and understanding of. Like I would say, you're probably like a subject matter expert in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and probably other stuff like physical media, etc. But I've always felt that you come across very knowledgeable, to be honest. So that's why I'm always keen to talk to you, if you know what I mean.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to hear. I try my best.
No, no, it's too fair, mate. Even my wife said when I told her I was doing a video with you, she's like, "Oh, Luke," and I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, Hydra Collectables. She says, "Oh, yeah, he's the one that actually sounds like he knows what he's talking about," and I was like, "Yeah, that's the guy."
Sounding like you know what you're talking about isn't always actually
Yes,
knowing what you're talking
but
about.
I think
I have
there's
been wrong before.
yeah.
Once
No,
or
but
twice.
we talked. I talked to you a lot about getting hold of my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, and we did talk about um doing an unboxing together. And to be fair, I really wanted to do this unboxing with you. But the other last weekend was it, or the weekend before, I had my younger sister up from university, and she was just like, "Oh, can I do a video?" And I was like, "Well, I haven't really got anything you can do except for this." And I was like, "I'm doing," and I was like, "Oh," I was like, just do it." And I
Do you
ended up
know
like,
what though? She was great. It was such a good
yeah,
video, such a fun video to watch, and the transition at the beginning, like, it had me chuckling for a good half. Like, the first half of that video, I was still laughing about that transition.
uh, it's just the glasses morphing into a different person. But yeah, she I think she did a brilliant job, to be fair. She was very much directed. I was literally saying, "Please say this," and then you like, I had to edit out a lot, but there was things in the, I don't know if it, you might have been in the video or not, but where she just didn't like saying stuff, like she just didn't, she thought it was cringe. But yeah, no, bless her. But yeah, I really wanted to obviously do this video with you. I'm glad that we've got this opportunity now. So I thought I would bring you on and like interview, because I know you are a big fan of the Turtles. And I mean, one of the questions that I'll get to in later on in the episode, well, this episode or this show. You have had the privilege of interviewing a certain person a lot, and that's pretty cool. But we'll get onto that a bit more in depth. But I thought that maybe we would start off with the good old age question of who is Hydra Collectables?
Who is Hydra Collectables indeed?
And let me just point it out, this guy knows how to spell collectibles, not the American way. But yeah,
So
it.
funny story actually. I've had to like lock in both versions of that name.
I bet,
So
yeah.
even here on YouTube, I have both like accounts, like both domains. So maybe one day I'll use it as a secondary channel, or maybe I'll just keep it just so that nobody else has it, so we don't get anyone posing as me in the future.
Of course, yeah.
Um, but yeah, who is Hydra Collectables? Well, I'm Luke. Um, and Hydra Collectibles kind of came about because I have a love and a passion for an awful lot of things.
Yeah,
And, one of those things is Greek mythology. And I happened to be looking at the mythical creature of the Hydra at the time. And I figured with the multiple heads and, chop
yeah,
one off and another grows in its place, each head could represent a different fraction of my interests and collections. So, like one head is for toys, one head is for comics, one head is for physical media, etc., etc. And the fact is that the Hydra could just be forever growing You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be limited. So the original plan was to just keep adding more heads to the logo. But
It's a
as
great logo, I think.
that was done by our good friend Tom, originally
Oh,
from
mailing.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
brilliant.
He designed and drew that for me. Great work, Tom. But yeah, the original idea was to just keep adding to that, but then I realized that could get quite messy. So I think the 3-head logo will remain and stay that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically where it all came from. This whole idea of just coming online and talking to like-minded people about our hobbies and interests.
And I think when did your channel first come to fruition? Was it?
So I had the channel around 2018, I think, but I didn't
Yeah.
really jump on board with making videos until about 2019. Like it was quite early into that year.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like the first few, it was actually Comics with Beulah over in the States where he was asking people for their origin stories, you know, how you got into comics and everything else. So I basically gave him a response, but in video form, and that was kind of like my first true
Upload.
video. You know, that was my first upload, and it's
Is
still
that
on
is
my
that
channel now.
I was gonna say, is that still
Yeah.
on the channel? Oh,
Yeah, it's
cool.
still there. It's not every video I've ever done still remains. I've kind of taken things down and, you know,
Yeah.
swapped it and changed it around a bit, but that one's always remained. So if anyone does want to go back and watch a very naive, scared, original Hydra Collectables trying to make videos, by all means go back and watch it. It hasn't aged well. I like to think that, you know, the channel has grown over time as well as I've invested money into different equipment and
Yeah.
everything else. Um, but
And
yeah,
did
I
it
think it's important to remember where you came from and where you started. So that video will stay.
and in your mind, was it always gonna be, like, was it the start off, was it comics, or did you think, "Oh, I'm gonna branch off into all the things that I love to collect and
Yeah, so again, that's that kind of where it came from with the
heads?"
idea of the Hydra, you know, and the
Yeah.
multiple heads, because being called Hydra Collectibles, because I debated for a long time whether or not I would choose a different name. Like, would it be Hydra Comics or Hydra Collects Comics, or you know, would I want that in there? Because obviously that first video upload was heavily comic centric, but
Yeah.
I decided to go with Collectibles solely because this could become anything. You know, if I suddenly decided tomorrow, very unlikely, to ditch comic books and just do toys, or ditch toys and just do physical media, or you know, do a gold and silver, or like any collectible. If I wanted to do stamps, it doesn't matter because it's all Hydra Collectibles. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
where this channel evolves or goes. The name stays and the logo stays and everything else.
And I think that's pretty commendable, to be fair, because I think that, like, being on YouTube myself, I think that when you deviate a bit from your origin, is it for us, it's comics. When we do something that's not comic related, it doesn't get the same
The
traction.
The algorithm hates it, you know,
Yeah.
so I decided a long time ago that I wasn't, and it's very hard because it's almost like I'm lying when I say it because I do still chase the algorithm, but I tried a long time ago not to do the whole niching down thing.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm gonna make videos because I want to make them, and one week might be a comic video, the other week might be a physical media video, or it might be a toy video, and I know that's not gonna sit right for every audience.
Hmm.
But the point of the channel is I want to meet like-minded people. So I'm hoping to meet people who are like me, who enjoy a range of things and not just one. And to be fair, if you're only here for one particular type of content, fine, perfect. Like, hopefully I don't leave you too long without that piece of content and you still remain one of my subscribers, you still want to watch the videos, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. Um, but it has to be enjoyable. It has to be something that you're passionate about, because that's how you're going to find equally passionate people. And for me, that's what it's all about. I love that comment section. I love talking to people. I especially like when those viewers come away from the platform and find me on Instagram, where we can share and talk a lot more and post pictures, etc.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, over these years of being on the platform, I've been able to meet up with loads of other UK-based YouTubers, and we go to events. And just even yesterday, I was out in London just for a social gathering. You know, just something that we could go and do and have a nice time. And it's a great way to make friends online. You know,
Yeah.
doing YouTube
Yeah.
videos.
That's what one of the things from that I've taken away from this process is that you do make friends, and they are like really good. really good friends, like, and meeting up with them in person is just completely like, it's what's the word? It's refreshing, because it's, everyone has like a persona online, etc. But when you meet these people in person, and they're like, exactly like they are in the videos, it's really refreshing, to be fair. But no, like you were saying about your passion, totally comes across in every video that I've ever watched you do, and every live show. You are very passionate, and you know what you're talking about.
And I'm not afraid to make myself look an idiot by telling people that I don't agree with them.
No,
Not everyone likes the physical media stuff, and I get that, but for me, I'm very passionate about it. I love it. And, I know that some people play Hydra bingo. If I'm on a
wait,
live stream,
physical
it's like
media.
waiting for me to say certain words. Oh, he said Battle Cat, or oh, he said DVD, or, there's always something. But I roll with it.
No,
I don't mind being the jester every now and then.
you take it on the chin, but just to go through a couple of comments. We've got Ty. Thanks for watching, Ty. He's new to the world of TMNT world of comics, but I've read 80% of the IDW 2011 run, and it's an absolutely superb. See you tonight. And then we've got Daniel _James. Matt looks like he's just come from a political fundraiser dinner. That's exactly where I've just come from. It was pretty much screaming kids. And I've just come from a christening. So thank you for the astute observations. And he's left another comment. Going back and watching early MJ comics videos is a good way to perforate your own eardrums. That intro music. Thank you very much. We have our resident troll, I think. But now Dan's a good lad. So that's the first question. The next question I've got for you, Luke, while we're on the subject of turtles, and that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about tonight, is what first got you interested in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Right. So so it all kind of happened at the same time. So I was born in 85, and obviously the original comic book came out in 84, and it wasn't the comic book that got me started. In fact, I didn't even know that it was based on a comic book for many, many years.
Yeah.
But the 87 animated TV show, now that was definitely my jam. But even then, I don't think it was in 87 when we got it over here in the UK. It must have been a bit later. So I'm not sure whether or not it was the 87 cartoon or possibly even the 1990s live action movie. It's all kind of around the same time. Like,
Yeah.
both of those things seem to correlate in my mind at the same time. I remember having all the toys from Playmates,
Yeah.
and I remember having watching the cartoon. But then I also remember having the VHS of that movie. It was actually a pirated copy. Don't tell anyone. That I was gifted by my cousin, who also gave me a load of the trading cards.
Oh, cool.
Where he had all the duplicates because he had been picking them up with his pocket money, and
Were that the tops ones, are they?
the Topps trading cards, yeah. And I've got a complete set somewhere. I think I've got 2 complete sets now, actually.
Wow.
They're great, just scenes from the movie and little bios and stuff on the back. But yeah, kind of all of that surrounds it all.
Yeah.
But the thing that truly cemented it with me, the thing that is so nostalgic for me, is that at the age of 7, my nan sadly passed away. But even when she was there on her deathbed, she wanted to talk to me about what I was enjoying and what I was passionate at the time. And she actually learned all of their names and was able to identify them by their bandanas and weapons and everything
Yeah.
else. And, the fact that she was on, effectively her deathbed at that time, it just shows how much she loved me and how much she cared and what she wanted to, do for me, regardless of all the chemotherapy and everything else she was going through at that time. So that's kind of where my true love for turtles comes from. It harkens back
That
to that
experience
and
with your friend.
family, and
Yeah.
and that's why I think I never got rid of anything. I kept everything turtles from my childhood all the way up to present day. And now my son even plays with my old toys.
I think that's part of the experience, collecting nostalgic things, because it takes you back to a simpler, you know, a happy time in your life when, you know, being an adult, it can be very difficult. You know,
Yeah.
we have the stress of paying the rent, paying the mortgage, you know, children, etc. That, and I think that collecting stuff takes you a bit away from that reality and takes you back to a simpler time where you didn't have any stress or worries.
It
But
it absolutely is. It's a time capsule.
yeah,
You know, it's like jumping into a time machine, and if you can just lose yourself in that moment, whether it be a toy, a comic book, a film, anything, if you can just lose yourself for a moment, or you know, if you're lucky, an hour or two, if you're watching a film, and it's
yeah,
just that escapism. You know, it's a wonderful thing, and not everyone gets it. I understand that. I mean, hopefully, people watching us here on YouTube are like-minded like us. They are collectors, or they do understand that nostalgic pull that we all have,
yeah,
but we also know it's not for everyone. You know, I've got family members that don't understand or get it. I've got friends that don't get it. Um, so I understand it's not for everyone, but it matters to us.
yeah, definitely, buddy. And so for me as well, I think I was born in '87, so Turtles for me. I remember my brother used to watch it, the cartoon, and that's how I first got into it. And then I saw the movie. Um, and to be fair, the movie, those turtles still look. uh, I mean, I'd prefer to have those turtles and over CGI any day.
Yeah, yeah, hundred
Because I
percent.
just think it's still like even like the facial, like the movements and stuff. It was just, I think it's pretty good work for, especially at that in the early '90s.
Yeah, I think it still holds up to this day, and me and my son still watch that movie over and over again. In fact, I made a comment not too long ago. That might actually be the film that I've seen the most in my entire life. Like, if I
Wow.
calculate all the times that I watched it as a child, all the
Yeah,
times I've watched it as an adult, and now I'm watching it with my own children,
yeah.
I have watched that film a lot.
It is. It's pretty. It stays quite true to the like the first comic, isn't it? Like pretty much.
So I done a shameless plug. I done a like a Lost in adaptation kind of video on the Turtles comics to the movie,
Yeah,
and I explained, you know, how it's very true to the source material in certain areas, but you really do have to pick out those moments. So the film is full of moments from the original Mirage comics line, but they're not necessarily all in the right order or in the same. You know, it's not all from the same book. You know, it's not
yeah,
from just one story. But they take elements from each and pull it together, and it really works. You know, I still stand by that. That film is like the perfect amalgamation of both the original cartoon series as
yeah,
well as the comic book. You know, it kind of put two and two together because, you know, they have the different colored bands, they have the love of pizza, that all came
yeah,
from the animated cartoon.
yeah.
And,
So
you know,
a
it
bit more.
eventually,
They make it a bit more kiddified, don't they, for the movie, just to attract the
yeah. I mean, it's still a very like
dark
violent
movie.
movie. I mean,
Yeah,
that's why you know, it by the time they rocked around with Secret of the Ooze, the second one, the turtles weren't even allowed to use their weapons. But that first one is still a really good movie, in my opinion.
yeah, definitely, buddy, definitely. Might as well move on to this next question. I was going to ask you this, but Sammy Jane, who's watching, has put, "Who's your favourite turtle?"
So, loaded question. It's changed over time. When I was a kid, my favorite turtle was Leonardo. And it
Yeah,
had nothing to do with him being blue, like most kids love the color blue, you know, most young boys. I liked him because he was the leader. You know, he was the one like, let's go, guys, you know, and he had a plan and he was doing things. And so he was my go-to, you know, Leonardo was my favorite. Then came the time where I kind of moved on to Donatello, and that was in part because of the toys. Donatello was always the odd turtle out. You know, for the Playmates line, he was the only brown turtle where all the rest were green. And
yeah,
then even when they done like the live action versions of the characters, he was a much paler green than the others. So he always kind of stood out to me in that action figure form. And then I started to appreciate that he was like the smart one. You know, computers were
yeah,
in, and you know, again, being born in, you know, 85, by the time I was 10, I had Windows 95 and all the rest of it. I was computer mad. Um, you know, Donatello was kind of my go-to at that point.
yeah,
Now, as an adult, my favorite was Raphael, just because, you know, he's angry and aggressive like we all are. There's a lot of relatability there.
yeah.
Which again, going back to that original movie, you know, those scenes between Master Splinter and Raphael and
I
him like
agree.
saying, you know, him saying, I can see your anger, but you need to challenge it. You need to know that I'm here, your brothers are here. All of that is so beautiful. Like it's such a good message for kids that as an adult, like watching it as a parent is massively different to when I watched it as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, because now I see those connections in that role. So yeah, so my favorite turtle changed between those three, and it never really went to Michelangelo. You know,
Yeah.
I wasn't the biggest Mikey fan until the Last Ronin,
Oh, okay.
and now you know
Because
Raphael.
spoiler alert, he's the only one left.
Raphael is still my favorite,
Yeah.
but Michelangelo in that story because I love the idea that they took the most childish one, the party dude, and then they took everything away from him.
I
And
mean,
I think that's such a
everybody
strong,
thought,
powerful arc.
yeah, everybody thought it was going to be Raphael, didn't they? Just because of the,
A lot of people, yeah. I mean, I said very early on, "What if it's Mikey?" And you know, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't know," and I was like, "I think." I was very happy that it was because we've had so many tales being told from Raphael's perspective, you
yeah,
know, and I love that. I love the way that Raphael and Leonardo always clash.
yeah,
But you know, the brotherly love comes through in the end, and they always get by it.
yeah,
But to have Mikey go to that dark place, that's good storytelling.
yeah. Very good, very good. Yeah, my favorite has always been Raph. Um, just growing up, red was all my favorite color. And seeing that, like I am a very moody person. You ask my wife, you ask my family, I'm
You
very
hide it
moody.
really well.
No, no, well, I definitely am 100%. And like yeah, I just think he's awesome. Like that movie, like you're saying, with arguing with Splinter, and he was always going off on his own, doing his own thing. I kind of feel like that's a bit of me, and I love those types of characters that are what's the word? Um, oh God, the word has escaped me, but I love that type of character where they basically aren't like 100% the blue Boy Scout, you
Mm.
know. But yeah, I love him. But yeah, he's my five.
Great stuff.
But yeah, so let's move on to the next question, bud. Right. So, what is the story? What do you think is your first Turtles collectible? So,
So
I know you
collect
mentioned the cards.
Yeah, so collectible. Obviously the cards would be something that I did collect very early on in order to complete the set. Um, the toys, obviously
Yeah.
I was bought them, so it's not like I
Do
went out and collected them myself. Do you know what I mean?
do you
They was gifts.
still have your original toys?
I
Would you
do.
say?
So
Wow.
that right above my head there, that's my original party wagon, and that's got my original turtles inside it from when I was a child. So I've got the four turtles, I've got Splinter and Shredder in there. And then there's a few other random original toys that I had when I was a kid. I've got like the original sewer layer, you know, and I've still kept the box for it all these years as well. So I have that. It's just finding a place to put it all. You know, there's some great modern stuff that I now have on full display. So the older stuff kind of still gets kept, but just put away for now. I need to expand the room.
Like you say, yeah. I wasn't aware about the comics until like later on in life, and obviously we wouldn't have been collecting them in 1984 because we
No.
both obviously didn't exist at that time. But they are. I want to say like, are they copper age? Are they or like?
So, yeah, I mean, I always get confused with the ages when it comes to comics because obviously, like you, even when you talk about golden age, people say, "Oh, atomic age" and stuff like that. Like, there seems to be these other things that creep in.
Yeah,
Um, Me personally, I just class it all as modern.
yeah.
You know, anything after
19,
1963, 65, whatever, like, I just say that's modern from then on. I know it's not the legit, you know, you
yeah.
get people say what is what all the time, but just for me personally, I just say it's the most well, it's the most sought after modern comic book. You know, that issue 1 is the modern grail of all modern grails. You know, I think,
Definitely.
issue 1 of Walking Dead is kind of like the next in line after that, I imagine, from
Yeah.
like modern. I mean, we're not talking about anything Marvel, like all your first
Yeah,
appearances in Marvel
independent.
and stuff. There'll be other stuff there, like first appearance of Wolverine, for example. But just from a independent point, I
Yeah.
feel like those are the 2 big ones, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 1, Walking Dead issue 1. Um, Maybe then you go on to things like Usagi Yojimbo and stuff like that. Maybe
Yeah.
they creep in, which I think was like Albedo 2 or some like his first appearance. But yeah, I would say modern.
Yeah. Definitely. So you think that you basically your Turtles figures are probably
I think that's probably where it all began from, that standpoint. Because like I say, even then, I remember having those whilst watching the cartoon and watching the movie and collecting it was Turtle Mania. Like everyone knows that's the real thing. It was turtles
yeah.
were everywhere back then. Um, Also, I always wonder this. Do you think pizza would be as popular as it is if it wasn't for turtles? Yeah, like
It was
don't get me wrong, pizza's a great food, but I
yeah.
really think, especially over this part of the world, like turtles must have done the real push for that.
Yeah. I mean, I've got some stuff here. I think these are from like these little things here
Yeah,
from like
yeah.
McCain. Pete, I don't know why that's not focusing, but yeah, these are from like little from pizzas. But yeah, like I definitely think there was a high influx of pizza sales due to the turtles. Um, I was literally, I'm not joking. I was talking about this the last week at work, and I was. I asked anybody, did anyone else's family used to go out every Friday night for pizza as a kid? We used to always go to the same restaurant every Friday night, and I used to have what they used to call a Miss Piggy pizza, which was
Right.
basically ham on top of the pizza, like chunks of ham, and it was delicious. Like we'd just go and have pizza at this place, and it was like a really nice. Can't remember what it was called. I think it was called like Pizza Pan. I know, but yeah, it was a great restaurant. I have fond memories of going there,
Yeah,
but I'm
great
guessing that
nostalgia.
that was probably due to the turtles. But yeah, of course. We have a couple more comments. We've got Kenneth. Hi everyone. Hi to everyone is here today. And we've got Sammy Jane again. Are you looking forward to the Rast Ronin game? Oh, yeah, I'll play it.
Yeah,
Should be pretty
I
good.
mean, I don't have a console that would be able to play it, but
What?
if it looks good enough, I would definitely go out and buy one. That's kind of where I am with gaming consoles. There has to be something that really captivates me, and I'll buy a console just to play that. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it used to be with Nintendo. It used to be I'll buy the latest handheld console just to play the new Pokemon.
yeah.
That used to be the driving force. Now not so much. My wife and kids have a Nintendo Switch, and I barely even touch it. I'm not a gamer.
Yeah,
I like the old retro stuff. So like anything before PlayStation 3, I'm like all in with. Like I love all of that stuff. I fell out of love with games the minute that you had to have an internet connection to even get on there, or that you had to
yeah.
download patches and do things. Like if I sit there and I go, oh, I want to play on the console, and I pick up the Switch and it tells me, well, you got to do a 20-minute update first. Well, then you've missed your window. You've missed your chance to entertain me. Like
This is
I'm
the
out.
physical media side of you coming out. It's got
It
to
is
be
a
all on
bit.
that disc.
It is a bit.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big collector of retro games. So like Super Nintendo, the
Yep.
Nintendo Entertainment System, the like Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. Definitely love all them. But yeah, I can't believe you don't. I mean, to be fair, I'll be honest. I'm not really a massive fan of the new Pokemon games on like the Nintendo Switch.
Mm,
I'd quite happily just go back and play Pokemon Red, Yellow, and Blue,
yep.
Gold and Silver, and whatever. But yeah, um, again, we got hi to MJ Comics. And we got who is the oldest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle? Well, they're all
You would assume It'd be Leonardo, right? Being the leader. Is he not the oldest brother? Is he not? I
Yeah, but
mean, I don't think they ever specify, but
no,
if I had
well,
to
that's one
guess,
out. Let's get to the next question, buddy. Thank you. Right, okay, so this next question I've thrown in here because obviously the big book is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 1, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's people's favorite cover. Because for me, although I do love that cover, it like there's plenty of other covers that I prefer. I don't know what you think.
I think for me personally, it is my favorite. I think
Okay.
it's just it's iconic. But a close second to that is the I don't know if it yeah, it is a second print. Second print of issue number 4. And
Yes.
you would know this, being a gamer, you would know this is the one where they used it for all the gaming stuff. That's the one.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just think the colors really pop on it. I think it's
Yeah,
a great
definitely.
look to have. Um, let's see. I'm sure I've got it kicking around somewhere. um,
It's underneath all those pizza boxes.
it is, yeah. There we go.
Wow, what? Yeah, let's try and let me try and make it big, buddy. On them. Oh, put it that side. There you go.
So it's my understanding that when it came to the comic book covers, they took it in turns. So the interiors of the book, both Kevin and Peter done a bit on every page. You know, they made sure it was a full 50-50 split collaboration. But when
Yeah,
it came to the covers, they literally alternated. So issue number 1 was Kevin Eastman, number 2 was Peter, 3 Kevin, number 4 back to Peter again. But this cover is exactly the same image wise as the first print, but just done in these different colors. It was inked by a different individual whose name escapes me at the moment. But also these were covers that open out. You know, it's the back and the front open out to create one big image going straight across.
yeah,
And I'm sorry, guys, I'm not going to open it to show you. I'm not. This is staying in here. But if you head over to my Instagram, I did post a load of the covers actually opened up, and everyone can see them there.
yeah. I mean, I 100% agree. That book is expensive because of how great that cover is.
Yeah,
Like the
it's
the
a,
first print of that book is not. I mean, I know it's the same drawing, but it's not a patch on the colors that are used in that.
it's the nostalgia because people that was used so much in marketing, like
Yeah,
video games covers. You know, it was everywhere, and that's kind of the go-to image that people have for Turtles, right from the original Nintendo cartridge.
yeah. That game was so difficult. I don't know if you played that. That was
Can't get
as
past level 4, level 5, like
it's ridiculously
never have.
slow.
Like,
It's
great
crazy.
game.
Like, yeah, a great game. It's just crazy now. Like, when I play games with my kids and stuff, just how easy games are now.
Yeah.
And I just say you don't realize how easy you have this.
Oh, I
If
had
you
that with
try to
I was
play,
play again to go back to the Nintendo Switch and the Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee.
yeah,
My kids wanted me to get them through the caves and stuff like that. And they're
oh,
like, "Oh, Daddy knows how to do it." I'm like, "Yeah, but you got to learn too. Like, you
yeah.
need to get
Try
lost in a
doing it
cave.
in
You
the
need to get
pitch
lost
black.
in a cave for a few hours."
Yeah. Just trying to memorize going left, right, up,
Yeah,
down, up, down. Oh my god.
it builds character. You know,
Yeah.
when you're so frustrated you have to throw the game out the window, then I'll sit and do it for you.
But I mean, uh, so in terms of my favorite cover, I um, I basically love issue number 10.
Yeah,
I love
great.
this Shredder and Raphael cover. Um, Absolutely stunning. I find it. It's
Yep.
wraparound as well, and it's just beautiful. Um, is this the issue after? Is it the Leonardo special?
Yeah, so the
Where
Leonardo
Shredder comes back?
special, so the story continues on. So for a lot of people who don't realize that those little one-off one-shots exist, you wouldn't necessarily know the
Yeah,
beginning part of the story if you don't read that Leonardo. Same as if you missed out on the Raphael, you wouldn't know who Casey Jones was when he shows up again. But yeah, a fantastic book, and what a great cover.
We've got Comic Deal. Issue number 34 is his favourite cover and favourite standalone story as well. Brilliant. Which one's that one?
I'm going to do a quick search because I'm going to admit I don't know them off by heart. Let's have a quick look.
I think that's a cool cover as well. That's pretty. Issue number 25.
Yeah.
No.
Number 34. Is that the one with their? It's like a Punisher type character in it. Yeah, that's the one. Let me see if I've got that in my box here as well, just so we all know what we're talking about. Is it that one, bud?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that one? I've got that one as well.
Great cover. Like, yeah, and you're right. It's a fun story.
Great cover.
I'm gonna have to put these all back in order now. I didn't.
Oh yeah, sorry, buddy. Sorry. We've got another question. What keys should a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan be looking out for? Wow.
So the obvious answer is obviously like the first 10 books.
Yeah.
In my opinion, first 11 books really rounds off that story. You know how I was saying earlier how the 1990s movie borrowed from X number of books?
Yeah.
Pretty much up to issue 11, and then it borrows from like the Return to New York story a bit later on. But as far as like standalone key issues that you might find at a more affordable price than like an issue 1, then obviously you're looking at those micro series. Pretty much the Raphael, like first appearance of Casey Jones, people absolutely love. Followed up by the Leonardo one, and then the issue number 10 that you just showed. Because that's a big pivotal moment to the story. Yeah. Fantastic book. What grade is that?
It's a 9.0.
9.0, amazing. So I've got two copies of that, but I think they're both around the 6.5, 7.
I think that the big mistake they probably made with these is having like black around the edges.
Yeah, but it's nice if you can get a signature thrown on that in silver pen, it's going to look amazing.
Oh, I bet it look, yeah. I mean, I would love. The one thing I'm missing from this collection is I'm missing a signed Kevin Eastman or Peter Laird signature. I would absolutely adore to have their signature on a book, and if they were to ever do a UK signing, or even if it's just a private submission with CGC, I'll send one of these books off.
So I think the biggest problem that we're all gonna have is getting Peter Laird. The guy, even when he does show up at conventions over in the States, it's not like a sign and done deal for the organizers. He just kind of turns up and they give him a table. Like he's very free with it all. But the guy's getting on now. The guy's very elderly, and I don't see him making that trip. I don't see him flying over here.
I mean, I don't know what he looks like today, but looking back from stuff from like the 80s and the 90s, he was considerably a bit older than
he was. Yeah. So he had some years on top of Eastman.
Yeah. Let's get into the next question then, shall we? Right, so I already know what the answer is, but everyone wants to know, what is your most prized piece in your collection?
My most prized piece in my Turtles collection has to be my issue number 1 second print in a 9.4 CGC grade that I only bought late last year. It was a long time coming, and a book that I've really wanted for an extremely long time.
Yeah. Let me get up that photo. Oh, hold on a second. It's not that one. I don't want to do.
Feel that radio silence.
Yep. Not letting me
no, this was a book that I'd been hunting for a really long time, and as many people who are within the Turtles fan base know, that an issue number 1 is like gold dust. You know, there's like approximately 3,000 of them out there. Nobody really knows how many of them survived. Then a second print, still kind of the same. You know, there's only about 6,000 of those that were printed. And again, how many of those are actually out there, let alone this one in a 9.4?
Yeah.
And then I think once you get to the third print, I think there's like 36,000. So there's a few more. But again, I still stand by that it's a great book to own, regardless what printing you have. You know, I also have a 6 printing here, which I think is equally as nice to have. You know, let alone any of the other later reprints that they've done over the years, such as like the Loot Crate exclusives and other books.
Yeah.
It's like I say, it's one of those. It's a beautifully iconic cover. It's my favorite cover overall. And you know, loads of people have done homages to it. They've like replicated it.
For some reason, it's not letting me do the individual photos. So.
Yeah, there I am. Little
It's
cheesy
beautiful,
smile.
beautiful. Yeah, in a 9.4, that is absolutely stunning. But
Yeah, very expensive book.
I bet. I mean, when I first saw it, I didn't realize it. I thought it was a third print, and I thought even as a third print, that's an amazing grade. But to have it in a second print, it's unbelievable.
So I've always said like the second print of Turtles is kind of like the forgotten brother of the group, because a lot of people have that third print. You know, people tend to have it up for sale. A lot of people have it in their collections.
Yeah,
It's kind of around a reasonable amount. And then obviously you get people talking about the issue 1 as being the grail to hunt for. But
yeah,
that second print always kind of just falls to the wayside. Like nobody ever really mentions it. And like I just said earlier, you know, there was only 6,000 of them printed. You know, we don't know if that is an exact number or account for any damages and losses over the years, etc. But I'm so happy to have it, you know. And that, for the moment, it itches that scratch. Like I don't feel like I need a first print. I would love
yeah,
to have one, don't get me wrong, but it's no longer on the top of my list. You know, now I can hunt for something else and then maybe come back to that later on if I choose to upgrade.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to tell you. I mean, you will experience as well the whole hunt of trying to get like that book. With my copy of my third print, I literally I was sick to death of looking. I'm not joking. I was there was like a massive relief, or like it felt like a weight had lifted off my shoulders once I finally secured this book. And I mean, I think I sent you probably multiple copies that I've come across.
You did.
There were, what really annoyed me was like I was constantly searching on eBay. Like I was literally every time I picked up my phone, I was going onto eBay and I was doing a search quickly to see if anything pop up. I think one time overnight, a 9.2 third print popped up for like $1,000, and it sold straight away.
Yeah.
Like it was, and I was like, I couldn't believe that, that this book, it was just becoming so difficult. Like not even a single decent grade in this country. Like it's practically really difficult to get a hold of this book in this country in a good grade. And I think I saw that is it Comic Connect were doing an auction.
Yep.
And I thought, you know what, I'll have a go at getting this and get this sent directly from them. And the whole process was so stressful in terms of, like, I thought that I was not going to win it. Literally, I thought I first bid. I think when I first won on it, it was about $600, and I thought, you know what, I'll bid. My max will be $900, just to And then the more I was thinking about it, I was thinking, yeah, but one literally sold like a couple of weeks ago for $1,000, and that it's probably the same book.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I'm going to lose this. I'm definitely going to lose this at $900. And so I thought, you know what, I'll bid the $1,000 on it, and I'll leave it and just see what happens. And about 5 minutes before, it got up to $935. And I thought, I'm not winning this. I'm not winning this. And I said, I'm not going to watch it because I know that I'm not going to win this now because it's shot up again now, and someone's just going to snipe it right at the end. And so I literally like put my phone down, and then all of a sudden I just got an email like 5 minutes later saying, "Congratulations, you've won for $1,000." Someone literally must have bid like
The
maximum.
same amount, and
Yeah,
because you were first, you got it.
yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, I can't. And I was like, I can't. And I was in bed with my wife at the time because I think it finished at like midnight. And I just said, I think I just whispered into her ear, "I've won the turtles, I've won the turtles, I've won the turtles." And then to like after that, it was just incredible in terms of Comic Connect. Like, well, I don't know if you've ever used their site, but when you win something with them, like they don't the shipping price doesn't come on straight away.
Mm.
So you just click. There was all these different options, and I thought, well, I'll just choose FedEx Priority.
Yeah.
And then so the next day, an invoice came through, and it was they wanted $125 to post it, and I was just like, $125. So like I emailed and just said, oh, I think I might have clicked. I didn't know what I was clicking because there was no prices. And she went, "Oh, it's okay. What would you prefer?" And I said, "Oh, can you just send it economy?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, yeah, that's fine." And so economy was like $80, and I
Yeah.
thought that's a bit more. I'm happy
It
to pay that.
it boils down to the insurances, doesn't it? Like
Yeah,
this is the thing with these expensive books, as anyone who sends to CGC will tell you, it's all about covering the insurance for the
yeah,
amount that it's valued at.
yeah,
Especially if it's won that price in an auction, then that paperwork goes along with it, and
100%.
that's how it's covered. But a great book. I'm so happy that you were able to get a copy, bud. You well deserved.
The like the grading notes on it as well. Like this thing looks. It looks amazing. I'm not joking. There's like one spine tick on it. And the grader's notes are like, oh, there's some finger bends on it,
Yeah.
which can be pressed
Mine
out.
mine says the same, but I'm not brave enough to crack it. So I have two questions for you. Number one, would you crack it, whether it be to get those marks off or whether it be to get a signature on it?
If CGC did a private signing with Kevin Eastman or Peter Laird, I would send it to them, crack it, press it, sign it, send it
Yeah.
back. I would 100% because I think, especially with this whole with CGC now, like these 9.9s and the new 9.8. Apparently, I don't know, how true that is, but I mean, yeah, definitely. I think this book is definitely deserving of a higher grade. To be honest, I
Yeah.
can't really see.
And
I
how
can't,
hurt would you be if that grade went down because of the signature? Would you just care that the signature was what you wanted and you don't mind, or would you then be upset that it went down that low?
it depends how low it goes. If you're talking about like a 9.0, but it's got a signature on it, then it probably still be the same value as what the 9.2 is, and it would go quite nicely with a 9.0 Raphael and one. So not wouldn't be that disappointed, but I definitely think it's a 9.4 at least in my eyes.
I've toyed with this question for my own for my copy, and I don't think I can do it. Like, again, you never know. If he was at an event and I was literally leaving that morning, I might very well put it in my bag and take it with me. And if I felt like cracking it open in the hotel room, I might do it. Um, but it would have to be that sort of decision. Like, I feel like I would even go up to him first with it slabbed, going, if I come back in an hour or two, can we make sure that I get exactly what I want done to this? Because if not, I don't want to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm that paranoid about it.
I mean,
But again,
to be fair,
I've got other books. I think I'll be just as happy getting him to sign other stuff. Like, I can keep that as it is, and it's I don't know. I can't make that decision until the day.
yeah, I think especially East. To be honest, do you know what? I don't think I know what Laird's signature looks like, but Eastman's like is
So
incredible.
I can answer that.
Okay,
So
here we go.
I got this one just literally a couple of weeks ago. So this is obviously from 2015.
Yeah.
Came with a certificate of authenticity and all that. Like, I've taken a gamble on it. Like, I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
But I do have a Beckett card slabbed of his signature as well, with a similar drawn turtle on it.
Oh wow.
And they look identical. They look like they're the same, from the same hand. So I think this is genuine. And who knows, when CGC finally do the authenticated signatures and all the
JSA,
rest of it,
yeah.
I think I'll probably send this in and get it authenticated and slabbed. Just again because I've got a couple of Kevin Eastman signatures,
Yeah.
but I didn't really have a Peter Laird, so I wanted to make sure that I had something in the collection. So there's my Kevin Eastman with a little remark of Splinter.
Well, that's amazing. I know. I think is Splinter one of your favorite
Splinter
characters?
is my favorite character. I'll be honest. If you're reading the comic book series, he's sometimes a bit of a dick. We kind of look at him as this like master sensei and the father of the turtles, but let's not forget he literally raised them to be his vengeance.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
um,
We've got a question from Sean. Where would you recommend I start with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and comics? I'm a newbie.
So, without a doubt, start with the first volume of the Mirage comics. I think that is the be all and end all of everything. But if you decide not to go ahead with those, you could always try the IDW comics. That retelling, especially the first 100 issues, have been amazing. These are my go-to. I love these versions of these stories,
Yeah.
and they actually collect the majority of the issues, which a lot of later reprints haven't done. So even these compendiums that are out there at the
Yeah.
moment, they don't have everything inside them still. There's a lot of stories that are still locked away from people and won't be reprinted anytime soon.
Wow. Yeah, definitely, Sean. Take Luke's advice and get those original ones, and if not the IDW. But yeah, these are awesome. The art, like because the original comics didn't have color, did they?
No, they were black and white.
So these are absolutely stunning inside. The colors are just amazing. But yeah, definitely, Sean, if you can. Welcome, Manu from the 9.9 newsstand. Thank you for joining us, buddy. Really appreciate it. Next question, mate, if you don't mind, is are there any specific pieces or items that you're on the lookout for to complete your collection, or that you just want to add to your collection?
So I'm still trying to complete my volume 1 of the Mirage line.
Yeah,
I have what you would call all the big keys. I have all of that and I'm happy with it. My issue 2 is a second print, but equally I'm still kind of okay with that as well, because the books are literally identical apart from the inside saying second print. The
yeah,
covers and everything on the outside are the same, they're the same size. I'm not immediately in a rush to upgrade that one, but I will when I complete the whole set. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? So at the moment, my biggest one that I'm looking for is actually the last issue, which is issue 62. It's the last issue of volume 1. A little bit too pricey for me, we're not talking big money, but it's like £120 to like ship it from the US. And I can't. I kind of like the idea of just finding them in the wild. Like, I've slowly built this up over time without dipping into auctions and eBay and stuff too much. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I've been able to build the majority of this without going that route. Um, that's the one that I'm after. That's the one that I'm constantly just, hunting for and checking on eBay and seeing if there's anyone in the UK selling one, which unfortunately I've not found yet.
No, no, wow. Well, if anyone watching knows if there's one in this country,
Absolutely, yeah.
that'd be amazing.
Money is waiting.
I mean, I picked up this. I don't know if you. I know you're aware of this. This reprint from, is it the Insight hardcover?
Hardback book, yeah.
I mean, this little book is absolutely beautiful. I literally bought that hardcover just for this comic.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, don't get me wrong, the hardcover is a beautiful book too.
oh, it's got loads of memorabilia in there and stuff like that. It's amazing. But I mean, the price. I mean, I got mine, I think, for like £27.
Yeah.
But I pay that money just for this comic, but to get the bonus of all that extra content in there,
See,
unbelievable.
this is the book that I have here. That I will probably get signed and sketched on by Kevin if he was at a show, rather than breaking my one open, and I'd have it side by side.
Yeah,
Like I feel like I would keep my second print original
yeah,
and have that one next to it, slabbed up and verified and all the rest of it when it's
and
signed.
that's a good shout.
So
Yeah, because I mean, I know it's obviously a bit smaller, but it's absolutely, it's practically, it's just beautiful.
So
Absolutely
that
beautiful.
being, you mentioned about the size. So obviously those first turtle books, the first 5
Strange
of
size,
them
isn't
are huge. Where do you store your turtle book? Where do you keep it?
it? To be fair, I put it. It's normally up there
Right.
on there because I don't have a magazine CGC holder
Right.
box like my other one, so they're absolutely huge.
They are huge. They really are. Mine
Uh,
is in, so you see like this glass cabinet behind me? I've got another 2 on the other side and it's in there, and I've got a couple of turtle figures around it, kind of just protecting it at all costs.
no, it's beautiful. I mean, what another? Obviously, I've got this as well. This
Yeah, I love that cover.
Teenage Turtles Adventures. I love this. Love this. Look, this is a bit more like the cartoon, isn't it? Too fair.
Yeah, and that's the first appearance of Krang, isn't it? And Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
first appearance. Yeah, it is. Yeah, in a new stand, but not that I'm bragging. Yeah, great comic to own. Really happy to have this in my collection as well. Really love it.
Great stuff, man.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have anywhere near as much as you do. In
Yeah,
your
but
collection.
mine's a bit obsessive. Like mine's almost a problem.
No, it's not a problem, but yeah, it's a collection. It's your collection. You do whatever you want with it. But for me now, I think I'd love to get what complete 1 to 10 for me.
Mm.
I definitely want that fourth second print, 100%. I do like out of the first issue, I do like the fifth print cover.
Yeah. So that was my go-to. So before I got any other printings of issue
Yeah,
1, that was the one that I wanted the most. Again, mostly because I'm a fan of Splinter, and Splinter is very dominant on that cover.
yeah.
That is without a doubt one of my favorites too.
There is there was one thing that I like I've talked about already. I really want Kevin Eastman's signature. So there is it number? I'm trying to think what the number is. What's the issue that the black cover that's got Splinter on the front? It's like a second or third print.
He's on issue number
Three?
3.
Three,
Yeah,
is it
and
number
it's like
three?
got
Yeah.
the picture frame of the turtles
Picture
behind.
frame, yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
that I nearly almost bought a signed Kevin Eastman 9.6 of that, and I really wish that I'd got it.
That would have been my go-to as well. Like that is when we were talking about favorite covers. I'm there with you on that. That's that one, right?
Yeah, that's that one. Yeah,
So Splinter versus the Mousers is like one of my favorite depictions. Like I love the idea of that.
is that the first appearance of the Mousers?
So first appearance of the Mousers in issue number 2.
Number
So
two.
first appearance of Baxter
Oh yeah,
Stockman.
because the front cover is that, isn't it?
Yeah, and also first appearance of April O'Neil,
Yeah,
which she wasn't a reporter. She was a assistant scientist for Baxter Stockman,
front,
and it was only later on with the cartoon series that they made her the reporter, which again translated over into the live action movie, which again has always then become canon. Now she's a reporter, and it kind of makes sense. You look at your Peter Parkers or your Clark Kents, and they all work in the news
oh, the
because
new. Sorry, yeah,
it
sorry.
gets them to the it gets them to the action.
Yeah, it gets them to
So
the full.
someone on the inside, someone who sees the stuff that's going on, it makes perfect sense for April to be that person for the Turtles.
Yeah, 100%. We'll move on. Got another question for you, buddy, if that's all right.
Yeah, ask away.
Do you
I'm
collect?
enjoying this.
It's all right, buddy. It's all right. Do you collect solely for personal enjoyment, or do you also see it as an investment opportunity?
So, yes and no.
No.
So, I am a collector of passion.
Yeah.
Right, always have been. I open my toys. I read my comics. You know, although I have slabs, I have very few slabs compared to other people that are here in our collecting hobby. It is an investment in the sense of it's always going to be of value to someone.
Yeah.
And so even when I'm gone and it hands down to my kids, if they want to sell it on, they're going to make some money. You know, it's always going to be worth something to someone. Because again, like-minded people, like what I was saying. Do I actually purchase these things as an investment? Not so much, but I
It's
do
in.
like that they are assets.
Yeah.
I would rather have an empty bank account and have this stuff here that I can enjoy. And then should I need the money, I can sell something in order to fund what I need to fund. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily the same answer to the question.
Mhm.
But that's the way that I view it. You know, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, and I don't think Spider-Man's going away anytime soon. And I would love to have an AF-15 because I don't think that that's ever going to go down in value. It's always going to maintain value, and that would technically be an investment for my family moving on. But then the same rule applies. You know, they can keep that for as long as they keep it for. But if they need the money, it's there to be sold. It's,
Yeah.
people get this idea of like heirlooms being something that you can never let go. And for me, that's not what it's about. It's like, this is something that I'm leaving to you of some worth that if you ever get into trouble, it's there and you've got the money, you know. And I think Turtles is quite close behind it as well. Turtles has never left the toy shop. Like every generation has their own version of Turtles, and they're only 20 years behind Spider-Man. You know, we're celebrating the 40th anniversary
Yeah.
of Turtles right now, you know, this very month. So great time to put out this video, get that algorithm going. I
Hopefully, yeah.
should really get some videos out on my channel actually.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's for me. I mean, I watched a great video the other day. Actually, I don't know if you follow Sticky Goose Comics on YouTube. You don't know
I
if
can't say I do know.
he's a great he's a great comic YouTuber, but he did a video with his wife, and his wife is a lawyer. That is American,
Yep.
and I think she deals with like wills and estates and stuff like that. And he basically just said, I think his opening question was, if I was to die tomorrow. I mean, he's got a massive comic slab CGC collection behind him, big statues at like Gem Mint and boxes
Yep.
on his channel, stuff like that. He basically said, if I died tomorrow, would you know what to do with all this stuff that I've got? And she was like, well, um, she's like, I know that this book looks like it's worth something. Do you know what I mean? It's quite
Yeah.
hard to think, a hard pill to swallow that you've accumulated all this stuff. And I mean, I've seen it personally where people have inherited comic book collections. I mean, I did a video not long ago.
Yeah.
Where I went and I actually I spent a couple of hours going through that comic collection and gave them I actually wrote a report
Mm.
and saying this is what I think you should do. And then it really kind of made me like, they actually said to me, they went, did you know like if there's a comic book expert like in the West Midlands? Or and I was just like, what do you mean? Like I know a lot about comics. I know like which comics sell and stuff like that, which ones are valuable. Like I have a really good memory in terms of, when I see something once, I'll remember it.
Hmm.
Like, so if I see someone goes, "Oh, this comic is worth loads," or whatever, this is the first appearance or whatever, I'll remember it. I might not necessarily remember what it's exactly the first appearance of, if it's not like but I'll go, "I've seen that comic book cover before. I know that it's something." But so I was just like, I'm not saying I was like offended, but because obviously they didn't know anything about the channel or anything. It was essentially I was just going to pick up my daughter from school and just happened to earwig a conversation, and they started talking to me, and I was like, "Oh, I know about a bit about comic books."
Yeah.
Then, so I went around, spent a couple of hours, did a report saying, "I think this is what you should do. These are the books that you should primarily look to sell individually. The rest do like bulk sales or whatever." And I said, like, you could go to like a local comic book store, but you'd probably get like 10 to 20p an issue at
Mm.
most. If they, let's say you've got 2,000 comics, that's what they would, you know. And the problem obviously was there was a lot of British comics in there, which is,
As you know, that's my jam. I love
I
that
know,
stuff.
jam. It's
Not
kind
worth
of
much, but great.
it's kind of become a bit. I hate to admit this, but in the past month or so, I've been looking for some British comic covers, and it's partly due to I don't know if Manu's still watching, but I did a video with Manu, the 9.9 newsstand a while back, and we did this. It ended up being a 4-hour recording, and we were talking about cards and stuff. And I showed off like this Venom card that I had, and this Venom card that I had, I bought from a whatnot sale with Ilsum
Hmm.
Sunil, and it came free attached to this British comic, and that was the only reason I bought this comic. And it was only like a couple of pounds. It wasn't anything, you know. And I bought it because I thought, oh, it's got some trading cards. I love trading cards. And there was a Venom card in it, and I was like, I've never seen this card before in my life. I showed him, and he was like, oh my god, I must have that card. Like, where did you get that card from?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's from like a British magazine comic. Like, so for the past, Matt, I've got like I went out and started buying them all.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
Not like to get the whole set,
Yeah.
and I've like delved into like because I've just been because not when a lot of these are being thrown onto eBay, not necessarily putting like what issue number and what they'd be like Spider-Man comic or something like that.
Mm.
And so I'm just basically searching like Spider-Man comic UK or
So
UK
what tends to happen with those, especially the UK
skip groups.
Spider-Man weeklies,
Yeah,
is that they one American issue will be split over 2 or 3 UK comic issues.
yeah,
Um, so it's not that the books are smaller, it's just there's other stories thrown in there too, but you're only getting parts of the story. So like one UK comic might have a third of a Spider-Man story, a third of a Hulk story, and a third of a Fantastic Four story. And
yeah.
then the following issue would continue those stories thereafter. Um, but yeah, I have the entire set of the Spider-Man weeklies,
Wow,
like
wow.
hundreds of books, hundreds.
But I've literally delved into this world, and it's frightening now. And to be fair, a lot of the ones that I do like are obviously a reprint of the
Yeah,
American versions. But yeah, it's frightening. But I don't even know why I got onto this point now. I know I was talking about
investments and
investment.
families
Yeah.
having books and stuff. The so it's funny that you mentioned about the guy who said like, would you know what to do with it when I died? So I've had 2 more elderly friends who are
Oh yeah.
also collectors reach out to me and basically say, look, can I write your name down somewhere, put it in a box, and if anything happens to me, my family know to contact you for help with selling the collection. And I've agreed to that, you know.
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
And it's that trust thing. Do you know what I mean? Like I know them, I know their family. You know, I want to do the best for them and look after them. And I know that there are some great books in there that they could sell and live a very happy life, like knowing that their dad still looked after them afterwards. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
I've done that for 2 people so far. I'm hoping I'll find someone that will do the same for me. Like luckily, my wife is quite into it all now. Like she's
Yeah.
I think more from a money point of view, she keeps an eye on it, to be honest. But you know, she understands what's worth money and what isn't. You know, she knows that like, oh, those UK books, they're not worth a lot, but she knows that they'll be valuable to someone because it's a complete set. You
Yeah,
know, or like over here, she knows that that CGC, you know, 9.8 super rare book is worth a couple of £100, or you
yeah.
know, there's different things.
I think it with especially with the graded comics, it's a lot more easier to sell. Like to find out, you know, what it's worth because you can just find out the
Yeah,
grade, who's graded with, what the book is, and you can kind of look to see how much it's worth. But I think with raw books, they just don't know what. If you just got like 2,000 raw books in different short boxes, it's going to be incredibly difficult task for somebody who doesn't know anything
it's
about
so subjective, isn't it? That's the thing. But again, I've mentioned this a few times, and I know we're going a bit off topic, but
that.
I've mentioned this a few times about the slabbed books. Eventually, that's going to be problematic as well, because no two 9.8s will look the same in like
Oh,
another
of
10
course,
years'
yeah.
time. Like you're going to get dust settling in within the cracks of the case and everything. You're going to get like UV, like the sunlight coming through and bleaching the covers slightly. You know, a 9.8 is still going to start becoming very subjective of, oh no, this isn't, you know, this isn't as good as it could be. I'll offer you this much.
Yeah,
So it's in no way a guaranteed thing.
no, definitely.
But
I think,
we still got some time.
yeah,
I still strongly believe, you know, that is the best option. It's not for me for my personal collection because I enjoy reading the books, um, but I totally understand that from that investment point of view, that selling point of view, you know, get them graded by a third party, and you know, despite what people might say about CGC or CBCS and any problems that they've had, as far as I'm concerned, they've always rectified those in the best possible way and very quickly.
yeah,
And that's where it really comes down to. Mistakes happen. You know, we're only human. It's how you go about fixing those mistakes once it has happened. And so far, both of those companies, I think, have done a stellar job at putting the trust back into the customer.
yeah. I think, yeah, like damage control, as you would call it, when it like you know they've done a good job. And I think what I think how I got onto that the British comic stuff is that so they asked for my advice. I went and looked at the comics, told them this is what they did a report, and then I messaged them to say, "Oh, how are you getting on with the comics? Like, do you want me to ask around to see if anyone's interested, advertise it for you or whatever?" I'm not wanting anything at all
Mm.
from it because there's nothing I want from there. But
Oh, there
um,
was a few I saw that I would.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, like
No,
something
joking.
that I'm absolutely like, you know, I mean, the dream would have been to have gone there and it been like a Silver Age, like Amazing Fantasy 15 in there, and like that was what the dream would have been.
Yeah,
And then but yeah, so then they went, oh no, we've contacted an auction house who want us to send and drop off the collection, and they're going to put it up for auction.
right.
And I was like, oh, okay, all right, okay, that's fine. I looked at the auction house's website, and for large collections, which obviously that is, there's £500 fee up front, and then
Yeah.
a commission on what they sell. And I was like, I messaged back saying, oh, like, you know, fair enough, but like, just be wary that you might not. I mean, I've never even heard of this auction house.
You could walk away like in debt, let alone
Yeah,
in
yeah,
profit.
yeah. If you don't sell, you know, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it. All I wanted for them was to get the like their that person's dad had collected all this stuff. He enjoyed it, and obviously it's been left to like his daughter and her family. And ultimately, I just want them to get the best price for it
Mm,
because it was that's exactly what I would want for
yep.
my for my family. But ultimately, for me, I would I would love to be still alive and say to my kids when they're in their 20s or whatever, which obviously is only not, not in the too distant future, but I'd like to say to them like, do you want to help me sell some of this stuff?
Mm,
And then they'll do all the dog's body work and stuff like that, but I'll and then they'll go, oh, we've sold all this, and I say, well, you can have that money,
yeah. Yeah.
get
I
yourself a
mean,
car, yourself.
I've
put
thought about it as well. Like a lot of us say, "Oh yeah, when we die and we hand it back," or they say, "Oh, I'll be buried with it," and like all these other things. For me, I've always had it in my head that 60 is when I'll move it on. So
Yeah,
like I'm quickly approaching 40. I'll be 40 like later in the year. Um, and I sorry, well no, I won't be 40. I'll be 40 next year, sorry. Um, but then like another 20 years kind of seems right. Like I'll enjoy it
yeah.
for 20 years and then I'll sell it and it will either be my retirement or I'll give it to my kids or I'll spoil my grandkids. Like it seems like that's the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not in a rush. I'll sell it slowly, bit by bit. Like it doesn't all have to go at the same time.
No,
Um,
100% agree. I would love to be in that position because ultimately it's like, what if we're collecting it until we die? We're not going to see. Yeah, I don't want it to be like what my mom did with my figures and stuff when I was a kid, and just
yeah.
threw it in the bin.
You don't want it to be a burden for anyone either.
No, no,
Like
no.
it can
Yeah,
be a
can you
big burden
imagine?
because then they have to decide, oh, dad loved it so much that shouldn't we keep it? Or, how do we know we're gonna get the right money for it? And
Yeah,
like it's if you can help, if you can do it before that happens, fantastic. Like that's the way to go.
yeah.
Um it's all got very morbid, hasn't it?
I know.
Talking
Sorry, everybody, for
about
the five people, but yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's what how we view our collections. So the last question that I'm going to ask you is, Bud, and this one is, I already kind of know it, but I'm guessing hopefully that some of the audience will want to know is, how the hell do you become friends with Kevin Eastman? How the hell does that happen?
I'm not necessarily a friend, but
Well,
he does remember me.
yeah, but he's done like sound bites to say, check out Hydra Collectables, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I went about it. I didn't really. It just happened. Like I fell into it. So I just thought I'm a big fan of Turtles. I'm gonna find out who his agent is, and I'm gonna send a message. And I'm just gonna say, look, I'm a big fan. I have this little YouTube channel, nothing special. I'm stay at home dad, this, that, and the other. If I could ever get a possibility to talk to Kevin, it would be amazing. And I just left it as that. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got an email back going, "You've been added to the press junket and the press release and this, that, and the other, and you'll be
Oh,
you'll
wow.
be interviewing him at this time." And like all of that stuff happened. And
Please
so I
send
done it.
nudes.
So I done it and I loved it and I made a whole big deal about it. And I was like, I finally got to meet like Kevin Eastman and do this interview and all the rest of it. Um, and I just thought it was a one off. But now we're like 7 in,
Yeah,
and it's still happening. And he comes onto the stream, and he's like, "Hey, Luke, how you been?" And he's all chatty. He's like, "Right, let's get started," and he talks to me about all my stuff, like behind the scenes. Like he gives me all this
yeah, yeah.
time before we then hit record for the actual interview. And he's such a nice bloke. Like he really is.
It's incredible,
Um,
mate. It's absolutely incredible. I can't believe, like, when you first did it, I was like, oh my God, how the hell is he managed to book like Kevin Eastman? And then when it's like, hang on a second, he's brought another one and another one. They must like
It's
incredible, mate.
crazy, and the thing is like, even now I feel like, am I running out of questions to ask him? Like every because he's been
Yeah,
so good. He's answered everything I ever wanted to know. Um,
I
but
think there's
every
that
time
one.
that comes around, I still say yes and go for it.
I think there's that one. I remember watching. Must have been during the pandemic or earlier on, or at least a few years ago, and it was. I think like the thumbnail or the title was, the creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles used to own the Batmobile.
Yeah, yeah,
I was just
and a
like,
tank. He
and a
had a
tank.
tank.
That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
but then I had to do the research to find that out so I could ask him.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Like, so I had obviously knowing that I was going to be interviewing him, and I was like, I wonder if there's anything that I could really just like throw out there, a big curveball that maybe he's not been asked before. And then I've remembered that there was an article or something that I read years ago about how he used to have a tank. And so then I was like, well, that must mean he's into like his military cars and this, that, and the other. And so then I'd done a bit of research and I was like, Kevin Eastman, tank, and this, that, and the other. And then I found out there was a Batmobile. So I was like, do you know what? Those are my two. I'm going to throw those questions out immediately.
Yeah.
But like I say, he's been great. He's such a nice bloke, and I really hope that the next time he is in the UK, I get to interview him in person.
That would be literally incredible.
That would be the icing on the cake.
Do you
Because
think if you just showed up there and you were queuing in line or whatever, he'd be like, "Hey, Luke."
I would love to think so, but I wouldn't be offended if he didn't. Like,
Nah, I mean, he probably
he
sees a
must see
lot.
so many people all the
Yeah.
time. Like, I wouldn't be offended if he didn't. But I know for certain I would tell him. I'd be like, "Hey, it's me. I've done these interviews with you. Blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
You know, and then I would put down my comics and be like, "Please make these special for me." Like,
Yeah.
that.
I'm sure he would.
I honestly, if he was doing like proper commissions at a show, I would throw a few £1,000 at him to do me a original turtle art piece. You know,
Wow.
something more than just a sketch or a remark. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I want, but I don't know how I would get that money, but I would. I'd find a way. I'd sell something.
A liver or kidney, whatever.
Yeah, and one of the kids, anything.
Chris Bella's put, Kev, we're not friends, chuckles Luke. I'll call and ask. Yeah, imagine if he's watching, he goes, I am Luke's friend. What is he on about?
Imagine if I just pushed the button here and went, ask him yourself.
Yeah, and the big surprise, everybody, he's backstage. Well, it sounds like he only works on his schedule anyway, mate. So
Yeah.
But yeah, that I mean, truly, I mean, if he ever does come to the UK, I'll not secretly, I will very much follow behind you just to see what happens, just to say, hi, I know Luke from YouTube as well.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I would just love to, and I've been lucky enough that I've done press at a few conventions. And what I tend to do is I'll go up to I'll queue like everyone else, and I'll put my books down in front of the person. And I'll say how much I appreciate their work, and then I'll just go, by the way, I'm here for press. Any point over the weekend when you're free, can we have a sit down and have a chat? And 9 times out of 10, they do it. Like, they're like, yeah, no worries, and we either do it right there and then, or we do it later on. Like, it's just good fun. And if we can pin him down at a convention and there's enough of us UK comic book YouTubers, I'll definitely get us all involved. Like, I'll be like,
Yeah,
let's all have a group photo or something. Like, we'll do something. It'd be
yeah,
great
that'd be
laugh.
incredible. Chris has also put, if you came, I'd queue in sales, Luke's members. No, it's incredible. So that's all of my questions for you, Luke, and I really want to say thank you for coming tonight. Really appreciate it, and I hope that everybody who's been watching has enjoyed as much as I have listened to you talk about your about the turtles and your passion for it. I want to start doing like these sorts of like almost like an interview, maybe, I don't know, like talking to people like yourself, because I enjoy. To be fair, it's going to sound really bad, but a lot of the time I just listen in. I don't. I'll put my headphones in and I'll listen and I'll walk around doing other stuff, especially like stuff like this, because you don't always need like a visual. I mean, it's good to see obviously a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles second print in a 9.4, but just talking and listening to people talk about their passion and their hobbies, etc., and their whatever, I enjoy listening to it. So I hope that everyone else has enjoyed this evening. And thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been great. Hopefully we can do more of this in a similar way. Like, I know that you and I share a lot of passions for different things. So
yeah, definitely. We're both big lovers of Spider-Man. We both, well, to be fair, we both grew up in the 90s, didn't we? Like,
yep.
So, both 80s children. So yeah, definitely. I would appreciate and love for you to come on again. We'll talk about some other topic. Chris is putting a few comments. If I'm watching on the big screen and tend to be quiet, I really enjoy the conversation pieces. Well done, gents. Thanks, Chris, very much. That means a lot. Yeah, definitely. I mean, part of me thinks that I mean, you'll know much as I am. Like, editing videos and doing YouTube is difficult, especially when you're, a father of two. Are you father of two?
Yeah, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same as me. You've got a busy, like I've got a busy social life, I've got a busy work life, got a busy family life. So it's doing YouTube it can be difficult, and trying to put stuff out that isn't always the same. I'm guessing. I don't know. But you've had some really good success with some recent videos. One,
A couple of them, but it's really hard. Like talking as a fellow YouTuber, it's really hard to replicate that success.
yes.
So
Oh,
I've
100%.
kind of I'm slowly accepting that it may never happen again. Do you know what I mean? Like I've got one video that's very close to 100,000 views,
100,000.
and
Yeah.
I am so overjoyed with that. But no matter what I do, I can't make that happen again. And I
It's
actually
almost
joke.
like you don't know why. Like,
I have
what
no
about
idea
that
why.
video? Why
The
has YouTube chewed it up? And
the irony is that it was a video that I didn't care about doing. Like, I actually the kids were in the bath, and I went, I haven't put out a video. And I whacked on the recorder, and I started talking, and I done a very quick edit, and I threw it up just to be one of those videos to go out there. And that was the one that took off. And
yeah,
so even from that point of view, I'm like, man, when I try, I can't succeed. Like, maybe I just need to be a bit more half-assed. Maybe I worry too
yeah.
much. I don't know. But like that video's done amazing. Because the irony is, like we talked about those Kevin Eastman interviews. They've got very few views. I think like the highest view count on one of them is like 1,500. Like they don't really
Really,
take off.
for what you're getting,
For what's there, like
Yeah.
I thought it would be much more popular, but for whatever reason, the algorithm just hasn't taken it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like videos that are nowhere near as successful as nearly 100,000, but I had like a toy shop that I went and filmed a few years ago, and then suddenly at Christmas time, I think it already probably had like, I don't know, maybe like 4,000 views, and then at Christmas time last year, I was just getting hundreds and hundreds of views a day,
Yeah.
and I was thinking, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, it literally got to 15,000 views, and then just stopped dead.
So, I mean, this is like what you're saying about how like an older video can take off. Anyone that's interested in starting YouTube or anyone that does YouTube, I'm no expert by any means, but I will say, as long as you're happy with what you've put out and you think that's the best that you can do at that given time, just let it go. And if it gets 10 views, it doesn't matter because one
Yeah,
day it will take off. And I've had videos that I've made like a year ago that have now took off and found their audience. And you just never know. So keep a back catalogue. And when the time comes, it will be there for people to go and watch the reruns and do things. And they'll find you. The algorithm will do its thing. It will find that person, and that person will choose to watch everything that you've done.
yeah, 100%. Captain UK, thank you very much for joining us on this chat, and obviously for watching the rerun later. That would be great. And Chris has commented saying, as a man that lives half-arsed, I confirm that it's not the route to success. Well, great. Thanks, Chris. Brilliant, mate. But yeah, so yeah, just I think hopefully can do this again. That'd be great.
Yeah, 100%.
And the real fun's going to happen backstage now, guys, where me and Luke are going to just talk about everything awesome.
Well, Kevin's back there, isn't he? We're going to go and
Yeah,
have a
Kevin's
chat.
back. Yeah,
It's just for us. It's not for you guys. Sorry. That's just something for me and James.
yeah, definitely. No, appreciate it, buddy. But thank you everybody for watching, and I'll put in the description of the video, I'll put the links to Luke's videos that he's done on the turtles, because that'll be really helpful for anybody looking at getting into them. And yeah, enjoy your bank holiday Monday, everybody, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.